The most rewarding feeling for the average adult is getting your license. On the other hand, getting your license taken away because of a DUI, driving under the influence, can be a very degrading feeling. In Drunk Driving Defense, 6th edition, by Lawrence Taylor and Stephen Oberman, states driving under the influence of alcohol, or drunk driving as it's usually called, is the most commonly committed crime in the United States. Some of us don't and or haven't experienced this, and I would highly suggest not to. There are 3 main reasons on why you should not drink and drive. First, it is against the law. Second is the cost. And third is the inconveniences. I also decided to choose drinking and driving because it is kind of intertwined with what my job is, and I'll describe exactly what my job is further in my speech. First, since it's against the law, I'd like to mention in section 42-41301, 1A, subsection 1F of the 2010 Colorado Revised Statutes, it states driving under the influence means driving a motor vehicle or a vehicle when a person has consumed alcohol that affects the person to a degree that the person is substantially incapable, either mentally or physically, or both mentally and physically, to exercise judgment, sufficient physical control, or due care of the safe operation of a vehicle. This simplified, this means if you can't walk, talk, or see normal, I would suggest keeping your keys far from your reach and out of sight. For instance, if you drive drunk, there's a high chance you will end up getting into an accident at your fault, and causing personal injury and possibly death. There's more graphic pictures, but that would probably creep you guys out. Second, I would like to describe costs. Cost consists of fines, court costs, lawyer, and insurance. Yes, there are fines and court costs. I know they're absurd, but they have to receive some type of income to support those destructive and disobeying citizens. These, of course, the court fines and the fees are not the same costs of what you would have to pay for a lawyer. What you need to do with a lawyer is pick 3 lawyers. Find 3 lawyers, any type, as long as they can do your charge specifically. And once you have figured out exactly who you feel would suit your needs and help you out the most, you can then choose. For example, Maureen O'Brien is a very experienced lawyer and will charge between $5,000 up to $10,000, but this is a rough estimate. My dad and Maureen are partners in the same law firm and usually only charge $10,000 for trial, if it goes to trial. And to figure out where you can possibly find lawyers in your local area, this site is kind of like a reference site, I guess, rated by most viewers or something. But if you click that button, pops up the screen, just press the Browse Lawyers tab, and then it'll come up to charges, choose your charge. Then next you would click the city you are nearest in. Well, first would be the state you were in, and then the city that you're nearest to, and it will pull up the specific lawyers who do that charge. And amazingly enough, Maureen O'Brien, if you were to click DUI charge, and then Colorado, or Lakewood, Colorado, she would come up as the best lawyer for a DUI charge. Along with lawyers and court fees, there's car insurance. Not your average car insurance that you usually get. You would have to get insurance policy called an SR22 insurance. This means a high risk category for your insurance agency, and it's not cheap in any way. If you get this and you're on a limited budget, suggestions are that you might want to take things off of your policy, or if your insurance company that you currently have does not accept or have SR22 insurance, that you have to change providers, and that can be a hassle, a big hassle. Third is the inconveniences. Not necessarily a boot on a tire, but the reliable transportation to school, work, appointments is one of the most important things. If you don't have reliable transportation, it is very, very difficult to get to the places that you need to go. For instance, my job is driving one of my dad's former clients, and he lost his license because he had a DUI. I'm not going to state his name, but yeah, he can't drive, and I'm the one who's driving him to from work, to appointments, classes, etc. So I decided to do an interview on him. The interview on the client, for most clients if they don't have a car, I conducted a short interview yesterday on a few things that would pertain to this. I asked what inconvenience is the most inconvenient for you, and according to SL case number 11T4474, he said the inability to drive is a lightly regarded privilege and should be taken more seriously. The inconvenience of living alone plus living in the mountains equals difficult means of finding a reliable transportation, especially if up there they don't have bus routes really, and the nearest bus route is 5 miles away. Now, if you do have a car, one of the requirements for getting your license reinstated is getting an interlock device installed. It detects the BAC in your breath, so you cannot start that car unless you blow into that tube. Unfortunately, there's two things about this. They're not cheap. They usually range between $75 to $200 a month. And if you're on a restricted license for like 2 years, that can add up. So, and if you blow 3 fails and it will lock you out, you will have to pay a $50 fine for that month on top of the fee. So if you're in a rush or a hurry or it's an emergency situation, I would not, I wouldn't keep your hopes up, because it will take a minute for the device itself to warm up, especially on cold days. Cold days, it'll take about 3 to 5 minutes. And yeah, so you gotta always be prepared. So he unfortunately has an interlock device set up in his car. Yeah, it's a pain. So if you get pulled over for suspected drinking and driving, or you get into an accident involving alcohol, not only will your driving privileges get revoked and come to a halt, but if you have a job that doesn't pay very well, or your work or school is farther than walking distance, you have a problem. Just remember, if you have been drinking at all, best suggestions to do this is to call a cab, find a friend who is sober, call a family member, walk to the nearest motel, or if you're capable of staying at the place that you have been drinking at, just stay there, because the consequences from drinking and driving is not worth it, even if it's 5 minutes away, because you never know what may happen.